of chapter 6 in Messilat Yesharim. And I just want to remind you again the way the Ramchal works. We're starting a new character, building character. The difference between building character and is somebody who, we're not trying to have somebody who does something good. We're trying to have someone who is good. So we're not talking about how can I do things fast or with excitement. Zrizut means passion, excitement, joy, love. How do we get this? In other words, so I'll read inside. Achar zeirut yavo zrizut. The Ramchal built his book based on the Braita of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, where basically one thing leads to the next. So we're not going to come to you and say do 100 push-ups. We'll say do one a day, add one more. In other words, there's a process, there's stages, there's steps that you have to take. The first step is zeirut. How do you become someone who pays attention, who is aware, who thinks before he does? Basically, this is expected from everybody. As we brought examples, zeirut is the animals have a very, very advanced zeirut, caution for their body. Anything that will come that will danger their body, they will jump. They're always on guard. So in other words, that concept of zeirut exists in the world. We just have to uncover it for our soul, for our personalities, for our character. And therefore zeirut is, if you're not careful, if you're not a person that is cautious and aware, you are less than an animal. It's expected of you because that is the way the world works. You have to be careful, you have to be cautious. You have to pay attention. You have to think before you do. But now we're going to a new character. It's called zrizut. Excitement, passion, movement. This is not expected of you. In other words, the natural state of the world is there's gravity. It pulls you down. The natural state, if you are lazy, you are doing what is expected of you. Because we are created, Adam comes from the word Adama. The earth is very heavy. It's very stagnant. It's very pulls you down, and the gravity, and Adam is created from earth, is very stable. You can't move it. So this is something that is in us, that if we don't have zrizut, we don't have any complaints. But besides being Adam, which is Adama, we also have what are called the Ish or Isha, which comes from the word of Esh. We have also a soul. The soul is full of passion, excitement, movement, like fire. You have the flame is moving all the time and pulling upwards, and you have the body, the wick that is limited amount of time, and it's pulling downwards. And this is the struggle and the battle that we have. So basically, learning this chapter now, we're learning how do we go above nature? How do we go above ourselves? And as the Ramchal does every chapter, he breaks it down to 4 parts. The first chapter is understanding the klal, the overview, the big picture. Then the prat, the details, what you have to do, and then motivation, and then what to do, the upkeep and maintenance so you don't lose it. So we are now at the first part of zrizut. And I just want to say one more thing. Zeirut and zrizut are 2 parts of one coin. You can't have zeirut without zrizut. It's like a half. You only did half the job. Because God didn't create us to be careful and not do anything. We're created to be careful, but we're also created to do things in the world, to make things happen. Yes, we'll go out there, we'll make mistakes, we'll do things wrong, but we still have to go out there. We have to make things happen. The purpose of life is to do, right? Everything Hashem created was to do. So you're not expected to just don't do anything wrong, sit in your room, lock the door, and don't have any confrontation or any challenges. Like we said, one of the signs there's 2 signs you have to have for a fish to be kosher, is scales and fins. Scales is similar to armor. It's like it's an armor. They used to wear scales when they go to war. That's the scales. That's armor. So that's zehirut. But the fins is rizut, is movement. You can't just be in this world and not do anything wrong. You have to be in a process of movement, of growth, of excitement, of making things happen. So we'll start to learn what the Ramchal has to say about this. So after we discussed the four parts of zehirut, now we talk about zrizut. Ki hazrizut sovev ala lo taseh, ve'hazrizut ala aseh. Hainu sur mera ve'aseh tov. In other words, we have two categories of mitzvahs. One are called lo taseh, right? 365 mitzvot lo taseh, shasa mitzvot lo taseh. In other words, every day of the year, just by not doing something, you're doing a mitzvah. You're not doing something wrong, you're doing something right. But then you have ramach mitzvot aseh. You have the mitzvot aseh are like a romach. A ramach in Hebrew means a spear. So the idea of the mitzvot aseh are that you have to go out there and you have to conquer, you have to fight, you have to use these you have to go and be active, not just non-active, right? And this is hard. That's what's called sur mera v'aseh tov. So we learned first about sur mera, stay away from the negative. Now how do we motivate ourselves to have a personality to be running after doing positive? Yes.
Where are you going to go? Page 37.
Page 37.
Thank you.
Okay? ענייני הזריזות המבואר. ועניינו של זריזות מבואר. So what is זריזות all about? שהוא הקדמה למצוות והשלמת עניינם. In other words, that what is זריזות? It's a personality, it's your attitude, it's your הקדמה למצוות, your introduction, your preparation, that you're prepared for it. ולהשלמת עניינם, and to really complete it, make it happen. That's zrizut. And that's why Chazal say zrizim maktimim lemitzvot. So zrizim are these. It's a personality type, and this is what we're going to try to learn. How do I develop this in me? How do I create this personality that zrizim maktimim lemitzvot? I'm waiting. I'm excited for the mitzvah to happen, and then the first moment that I can, I grab it. So that is part of zrizut. In other words, the Ramchal is telling us something very important, first of all. The first thing he's telling us here, you'd think that zrizut is a nice thing to have. Zrizut is a high level. Zrizut is an important thing, but not, it's the essence of the mitzvot. He's saying without zrizut, you won't have mitzvot. In other words, you have to uncover, you have to reveal in yourself this excitement, this fire, this passion. Without it, you will not have mitzvot. It's not something that it's extra, you need extra, that it's like you're on a high level. It's the basis expectation of a Jew. And by the way, like we said, this book has three goals. The first goal is how do you become a tzaddik. Second goal is how do you become a chassid. In other words, tzaddik is someone who does what's expected of him. A chassid is someone who goes above expectation. And then a kadosh is someone that is, beyond, has no other reality but serving God. Once you have zeirut and zrizut, once you developed in yourself these two characters, you're a tzaddik. This is it. This is what is expected of every person. To be cautious and to be active, doing positive things. Now, in general, the guidance is sur mera, stay away from bad. Aseh tov, go do positive. But we see there are certain times when somebody is in such a bad place that the guidance is just start doing good. Even if you're in a very bad place, like in Egypt, we were at 49 levels of impurity. And how does the Seder go? Kadesh uchatz. Be holy and rinse off the bad. Why? It should first be urchatz. First, clean your hands, clean yourself from the negative, and then kadosh, go be holy. But sometimes you're in such a bad place, so just focus on the good. Start doing good, even though you're in a bad place. Even if you're, it says, we spoke about this in the past. Halavai oti azvu v'torati shamaru. I wish that people would just leave the Torah, but still keep my mitzvahs. Keep still learning Torah. So even no matter how low you are, no matter how bad place you are, keep learning Torah. But I'm so low, I'm so negative, I'm a terrible person. No. Don't worry about it. Don't think about that. Just think about the positive. Grab what you can. That's Somera. But the general, if you want to do it the right way, is Somera. Stay away from the bad. Aseh tov. Start becoming active and start doing good, and that will ignite you for the positive. So that's what the Chazal tell us. Rizim maktimim lemitzvot. And here this we said. V'zeh, as we see, ki kmo shetzarich pikchut gadol ve'ashkafa rabba linatzel mimokshei hayetzer. As we spoke, you had a question?
No, I thought it was something funny. Self-talk.
So, as we see that you need to have a lot of wisdom, as we see from what we learned in the chapter before of Zeirut, of being careful and aware, what did we learn? You need pikhut gdola v'ashkafa rabba. You need to have a very deep mindset. You need to have a very deep understanding to be saved from the booby traps. Mimokshei, a mokesh is a bomb, right? The same way you have to, that's what Zeirut was. Zeirut was how not to step on those bombs, right? V'limalet mehara shelo yiterev b'maaseinu. As we learned till now, how do we stay away from the bad, and how do we not fall into the pits, and how do we not step on the bombs, on the landmines that are everywhere? That's what we learned. That was Zeirut. But now we're learning something else, right? Ken tzarich pikchut gadol. Here you need a very big wisdom. V'ashkafa, and a deep understanding. Ashkafa means like glasses. You have to have an outlook, a perspective. Ashkafa le'echoz b'mitzvot, to grab the mitzvahs, shelo na'avdena, lo ta'avdena mimenu, that they should not go away. As we said, there's two challenges that we're faced with all the time. Challenge number one is trying to help us fall, to make us do things wrong. Challenge number two is to stop us from doing positive. Right? So you have to have a double amount of courage, of strength, of ability to understand what is the mission, what is the purpose, what is the goal, what are the setbacks, so the same way you need to have that understanding and really in depth, the same thing we're talking about how you have to be you have to be thinking, you have to be aware, you have to think 3 steps ahead. How do I grab the mitzvot? And as we said before, the mitzvot are not a natural, you don't wake up in the morning and say, I need to go do a mitzvah. You wake up and you say, I need to eat. You wake up and you say, I need to use the bathroom. There's a lot of things you wake up that you will do on your own that will push you to it. Nobody has to push you. The natural world will push you to sleep, to eat, and to do certain things. But to do mitzvot, there is no purpose. There's nothing, as we spoke, you won't gain anything from it. You don't gain anything from the mitzvot. It says there's no reward for mitzvot in this world. You're doing something that you get no gain in this world.
In the morning, go up. Those pass by your door. Look to the left, look to the right, and go in front.
What does that mean?
When you don't have no choice, but you have all choice.
That's true. There's a small list of mitzvot that you get a certain dividend in this world. And in order to motivate ourselves in the morning, we say the list. אלו דברים שהאדם אוכל פירותיהם בעולם הזה, והקרן קיימת לעולם הבא. Here's a list of a small list of things that you don't touch the principle. הקרן קיימת לעולם הבא, like every other mitzvah. The principle is still there. But אוכל פירותיהם, you get a certain dividend in this world. What's that? הכנסת כלה, הלוויית המת, עיון תפילה, עבד שלא בדרך חברו, איש אשתו, תמות תורה כנגד כולם. There's certain things that you will get some type of gain, but it's very small. The reward for mitzvot is not in this world. You could easily go through your life without doing mitzvot, and you'll still be busy, and you'll still have a full life, and you'll be happy. The mitzvot are something you do because Hashem said it, and because you make time for it. You create a place for it in the reality, and you have to run after it. Because if you don't run after it, it's not going to run after you. Because as we said, there's the challenge is that pulling you back for. But what do you mean? I want to serve God. We spoke about this in the first chapter. God put you in a place where all these things are trying to pull you away from serving Him. All the tavot, the chamuyot, right? We spoke about this. It's not that you say, okay, God, I want to do a mitzvah. Oh, great. Now like the red carpet is pulled out. No, you want it? Work for it. You have to put out effort, right? You have to lirdof, right? So this is what he says. The same way Yetzer Hara with his tricks is trying להפיל האדם מחמות החטא, משתדל למנוע, he wants to stop us from doing mitzvahs. And of course, what does that mean? He's trying to stop you doing mitzvot. How could the Yetzer Hara, again, Yetzer Hara is not a person, it's the desire for self-preservation. So, self-preservation, anything has to do with self-preservation, your natural world will pull you towards doing it. I need to eat, no problem. You'll remember to do it, you'll put out a lot of effort. But why should you put out effort for mitzvot when you have no gain for it in the natural world? Right?
You feel like you're doing kibbutz aim. You're honoring your parents. You're honoring Hashem.
What about it?
You're like following Hashem, so you feel good about yourself. That's like the biggest reward you can have, like spiritual reward.
Yeah, but I feel much more good about myself when I'm eating, or when I'm making money, or when I'm I feel much better. I don't always feel good when I have to honor my parents, and it's not always easy. Right. Honoring parents is not fun.
If you learn Torah, it could be very pleasurable. If you have a good spiritual experience,
it could be, but
you
still,
stuck, or you feel good about yourself, or you feel like you're doing the right thing.
That's what you're saying is all about motivation. So we'll talk about that. All these motivations will help you to do it, but you need motivation because you don't have the desire to do it naturally. You're saying, if I do that, then I'll tell myself that I'll feel good, I'll feel uplifted. We said there's 3 different personality types that need different motivations. So that could work for you, great. But still, you have to do something. There's work that has to be done. It's not something that is naturally, I'm going to do to learn Torah, right? Torah is not always pleasant. Like we said, he said, and then we spoke before in Zehirut, that it's like a sickness. God, we're not well, and we have the Torah to heal us. When you take medication, it's not always healing medication. It doesn't always feel good. You go through chemotherapy, you go through, like the Chavat Levavot says, if you're not willing to take the bitter pill, you won't make any movement. In other words, yes, learning Torah could be fun and easy, could be pleasurable, but you have to do it even if it's not, because this is the will of God. And you have to always be challenging yourself, pushing yourself to learning things that are hard for you, not only things that are pleasant. I mean, I'm not good at this, but we can always just say, I'll go learn things that are fun and easy and enjoyable. But there's also things that you need to learn, halacha and gemara, and break your head, and amal Torah. That's like, we're in this world to like also toil on the Torah. It's not just fun and easy. But this is what we're saying here is Zizut, the overall understanding is that if you don't run after it, ולא יתחזק לרדוף אחריהם, יישאר נאור וריק מהם. If you don't run after it, if you don't put out effort and make it happen, it won't happen. Nobody.
If you don't go,
if you don't
walk.
Exactly. So, and we're saying the Yetzer Hara is trying to stop us. I just want to tell a quick story of the Baal Shem Tov, because he tells an amazing story. that that there was a king that he wanted to see if the people, what was the situation of this people. So he told his servant, his right hand man, go into the city, tell people, let's go and fight against the king. And anyone who said, yes, let's go, he wrote him down. Whoever said no, he wrote him down. In other words, even though we have this desire, it's hard saying, do bad, do negative, it's not for us to say, yes, let's go do it. It's for us to say, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's how we become stronger. And that's how we show that's the reality we spoke about in the first chapter, that God put us in this world to keep mitzvot, to serve Hashem when it's hard, and lavod b'nisyonot, to withstand the challenges that God sends us. God sends us challenges, and we're able to overcome the challenges. It's hard. It's always not too hard, and it's not too easy. It's tailor-made for us to be able to grow, and that is hard. That's not easy. So now the Ramchal explains, right? So we said you have to lirdof if you don't run after it. If you don't run after it, you won't get it, right? You have to be actively thinking, and not just when it comes. Okay, what do I do now? You have to be not just waiting for something to happen. You have to make it happen. Mm-hmm. It's a type of personality that you need to build. We're just talking about to understand the overview. Why? Why is it that we're so lazy? And by the way, laziness even could help you with zeirut. When you have zeirut, right? Okay, I want to do an avera. Oh, I'm too lazy now to get up, get dressed, and go and do that avera. Laziness could actually help you. But here we're talking about you have to go beyond yourself. How do we do that? Hey. So we said, V'tireh, look, kiteva adam kaved meod. The natural state of a person is very heavy. Ki afriyut hachomriyut gas, the materialistic aspect, right? We come from earth. We come from the ground. Adama. What does that mean? It means we want stability. We don't want to change. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to do anything differently. We don't want to have to change our habits. We don't want to have to change, right? We want rest. We have a very strong desire for rest, right? We see people are developing all the time technologies to make everything easier. And that's okay. But we have to fight this concept of laziness. It's a negative character that we need to overcome, right? We don't want anything to, we want stability. We don't want to change our plans. We don't want to change our habits, right? It means going out of my comfort zone. It goes going out of my, right? I don't want to go out of my comfort zone. And that's the difficulty of the mitzvot, is I have to change my habits that I'm captive, I'm enslaved in, and therefore zrizim, right? Makdimim. In other words, you have to create a new process of life. Yes.
If you can say some words about the comfort zone.
The comfort zone, again, like we said, we come from earth. It says, "Ma'afar bata ve'lafar tashuv." We come from earth and we return to earth, and therefore, right, we are very heavy, and we have a strong desire for not to change things, not to do things differently, to not, we don't like change, and we want rest. We like rest.
We want the easy.
We want the easy path, right? And therefore, right, the aspect in us that is earth is the aspect of the lack. It's not, right? There's no movement. It's static, right? We want stability. We want comfort. We want things that are known. We're afraid of changes. That's who we are. We're afraid of changes. We're afraid, right? And therefore, mi sherotzeh lizkot le'avodat haboreh. Anybody who wants to merit to really be a servant of God, tzarich shitgaber neged tiv'o atzmo. You have to go against your natural desire. Bless you. This is a very important. People don't understand today. What are you doing learning in yeshiva? All you do is you write in Google what you want. And interesting, what is in Hebrew machshev is moach shev. Your brain sit. Right? The idea of a computer is that your brain rests.
Yeah.
You sit.
Oh, nice.
You sit, and people look down at other people. What you actually learn Torah? What do you learn Torah? You want to know what to do? Write down. They'll tell you what to do.
The big thing I've heard at times is you're not getting, unless you're going like a rabbinic track. You can come out after 3-4 years. You don't have anything that actually will give you
Perfect.
money.
That's
or
exactly
acclamation,
what we're saying.
like degrees or titles.
Exactly.
They don't understand.
And exactly, people don't value it, and they don't understand it, and it's a very hard challenge for people. That you're living, like someone said to someone, "Oh, you're studying in yeshiva for 3 years. How long does it take to become a chazan?" Right? Like they think that's what you do there. Like and what do you get? And it's true. You're doing it without gaining anything. Not respect, and when you're learning lishma, the highest level of Torah learning is I'm doing it for the sake of God. And by the way, even for the Ramchal, he had a yeshiva. One of the conditions that they had to be in his yeshiva, you're not learning for your own personal gain, you're learning for the Jewish nation. Nothing that you're learning or doing here is for your personal growth. It's for the nation. If you can't handle that, don't learn in my yeshiva. That was the Ramchal.
I mean, I also partly do it because I believe there's a good reward in death for this. That's one of my motivators for doing it.
Exactly. So that's the motivations, which is wonderful. And we said you need to, even if you do things. It says in the Gemara that like leolam yasog b'torah u'mitzvot shelo lishma lo lishma shemitoch lo lishma yavo lishma. You should learn Torah even if you're doing it for the reason of you want a degree or you want the next world or you want. It's fine, as long as you understand that there is a high level. I would wish I could do things just for the sake of God with no personal gain. I wish that I understand there's a concept like that. I'm not there, right? But I understand it and I value it. Okay, so he says if you want to serve God, you have to go against your nature. Your nature is to sleep. Your nature is to walk slow. That's the nature. We have no complaints. But we're saying you can. You can go beyond. You should go beyond. Don't let the natural world pull you down. You can become above it. You can tap into your soul, to the fire that's in you. Right? So you have to, if you want to, Misha Rotzeh, Lizkot lavodat habore. You want to merit to the service of God. You have to go against your nature. If you just let yourself go as it is, and that's you won't succeed. And that's why it says, "Heve az kanamer kal kanesher veratz katzvi vegibor kari lasot retzon avicha shebashamayim." So we see that even though the lion is very heavy, it's full. In other words, we have to not be human. You have to go, right? The animals are always running. They're always running. We have to. That's why it says Heveh ratz lemitzvah. There's a halacha like this. You're not allowed to run on Shabbos, but you should run on Shabbos to shul. Right? Why is that? Because you want to go to have a different aspect on life, a different perspective. I don't want to just be in that natural state. I want to go above nature. I want to go above my above myself. I want to surprise myself. Like soldiers, they do things they can't believe that they could actually do it. They build them up slowly. It's also called sargel hamamatz. It's called the ruler of effort of putting out effort, and they grow slowly. And you realize how much you can do when you're pushed to the limits, and you discover that you have much more abilities than you actually thought. Soldiers see this all the time because you cannot just do everything. Sleep when you want to sleep. You have to be ready to serve God. You have to be able to go out of your comfort zone. That's the point that we're talking about here. And that's why Chachamenu Zichronim Levracha, the rabbis told us, "Bedvarim hatzrichim chizuk." That is Torah umasim tovim, and like when we were in the desert, It was a natural state. We were in our natural. It was natural to serve God. It was natural the connection to God, to do the mitzvot. Everything was a different reality. But when we're going to Israel, the first message that we're told, Chazak ve'amatz me'od lishmor ve'lasot. Ki chozek gadol. You have to have a lot of strength. You have to work hard. Lichpot et hateva el hofcho. You're going here, the opposite of your nature. Your nature is telling you go sleep, and your soul is telling you go daven. That's a battle. That's a struggle. That's something that you have to work hard for. Again, we're not saying yet how you do it. We're not saying how do you motivate yourself. We're not saying how do you what do you do upkeep once you've got it. We're just understanding the problem is half the solution. The problem is we are heavy. We have gravity. We come from we're made out of materialistic materials. And we are drawn and pulled to this place of searching for the easy way, searching for the quick path, the fast food, the fast path. We don't want to ever do more effort. And here we're told we have to. And Shlomo Melech spoke about it a lot. And we'll explain it in nice stories and parables. Shlomo Melech, the Ramchal brings Shlomo Melech, the wisest man of all. He brings us some stories, some parables. He also understood the importance of the difficulty and the challenge we're dealing with when it comes to laziness. And this is what he said. Shlomo Melech shana me'od be'azarato bir'oto et roa ha'atzala. When he saw King Solomon, the damages of laziness, ve'ha'ifsed hagadol, and how much you lose from being lazy. And this is what he said. Amar me'at shnot me'at tumot uba kemalech reshecha. So in Mishlei he says, sleep a little bit. In other words, don't sleep more than 8 hours. And the truth is, sleep is something that is very much based on the person. So test it. You know, the Rambam, the doctors recommend you should get 8 hours. But maybe you need a little less. Maybe, you know.
There are people who need 9, 10.
There are people 9 or 10. We're talking about each person based. So like test it. I know on 5 I can't function. 6 I can function. 6 I can function. 7 is great. 8 is wow. But I can function on 6, right? Doesn't mean that you should not sleep 8. But we're just saying, don't, like, in other words, take what you need. We spoke about that in the last there's no problem having pleasures in this world as long as you need them. But don't overindulge and let it take over your life. So this is what he says. And Shlomo Melech brings a pasuk, and he says, Ki hinei atzel, the lazy person, af al pi she'eino oseh ra b'kum aseh. This is a very important thing to know. A lazy person says, what am I doing? I'm sitting on my couch. I'm not doing anything wrong, right? I'm a great person. There's so many people complain about this. Why does my wife want to divorce me? I never did anything wrong. You're right. But did you do anything right? Hine hu mevi et hara al atzmo b'shev ve'al ta'aseh shelo. If you're not doing something right, you're doing something wrong. I was just learning about this in it's shocking. But it says in the Torah, Bereshit, it talks about you're not allowed to kill somebody. Kidam ha'adam ba'adam, right? If you kill somebody, you're not allowed to kill. What's the next pasuk? Pu urvu umilu et haaretz, right? You're not allowed to kill. And then it talks about having children. And the Gemara says, what's the connection? Why are they one next to each other? Shekol shelo osek bepirya rivya keilu shofech damim. A person who does not try to have children is as if he's killing. Mm-hmm. So it's not just like, what do you want? I don't want to have children. Who needs to have children? No, but I didn't do anything wrong. I have to, right? It's something you have to go and do. You didn't try to do it. It was like you actually killed somebody. We're not talking about people who can't and people who try, but a person has to try.
Let's say you're with a woman and she doesn't want to.
So again, that's not. By the way, the halacha is that the mitzvah. Yes. The halacha is that the mitzvah is on the man, not on the woman. Right. So and why is that? Because the rabbis know There's nothing that a woman wants more than to have children. We look at Rivka. She said, "Im enli hava li banim im ayin meta anochi." A woman without children, there's nothing she wants more in life. She'd rather die than not have.
But there's women that only want one or two, and then they want to stop.
So again, that is people that are unfortunately confused because of. By the way, part of the society is pushing that there's global inflation, and there, you should not have more than two children. Your how do you say population? There's
They actually say
overpopulation.
now you shouldn't even have kids, like in Western liberal Canadian
You should, right.
outlets.
And
Get a
there,
dog instead.
so if a person thinks that way, that person needs to learn. The answer to solution to all problems is learning. You find books, you find teachings. I have great books if you want. If the woman doesn't want to have children, which is rare because, like we said, a woman has this natural desire that is more powerful than anything in the world, and that's why the rabbis, the Torah exempts them from actually having a mitzvah. Because they want it so much, the Torah trusts them. We know you want it so much, and we know it's so difficult. On the other hand, that you will make the right choice to do the right thing. But a person that is, if we have like any problem, the person doesn't want to keep Shabbos, the person doesn't want to have children. The answer is to learn what is it about, the importance, the value, and there's beautiful books. If you're interested, I just bought a beautiful book that's incredible. It explains about being partners with God and everything about nursing. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. But anyway, I don't know how we got on that. But the idea is there's solutions to all the problems. The idea is learning. Education is the answer to all problems. And if you know something is right and you're not doing it, keep learning. Like we said, keep learning. It's like the train. You pour coal and it's not moving. You pour more coals, and the more coals you put, it will pull along the carts. It will pull along the desire to do it. Like we said, just because you know what to do, you won't do it. You need to have the motivation, and that's something that every person has to know, and you have to put effort into it. So this is what the Shlomo Melech says. In the Shlomo Melech says, even though you're saying I'm not doing anything wrong, right? I didn't embarrass anybody. I didn't do anything wrong.
We were talking about why tohu, why
Urvu.
urvu is next to if you're not doing something
Right. So I'm saying, so we see there's situations, many situations where just because you say I'm not doing anything wrong, even if you're not doing something right, it's just as bad. And that's what he says here. Gam mitrape b'mlachto. Even a person who is just not doing the job, achu leval mashchit. He's the brother of the destroyer. In other words, ki af al pi she'eno mashchit oseh, I'm not doing with my hands anything wrong. Lo tachshav, don't think that you're far from it. Ela achivu uben gilo. You are like the brother. You are similar. You are on the same plane. It's not enough to just say, I got married, and then the wife says, what do you mean? I didn't do anything wrong. I was a great guy. But what did you do right? Did you have a connection? There's a whole things you have to do to have a relationship. You need to know there's things you have to do. It's not just what you don't do. I didn't embarrass her. I didn't say bad words to her. No, but what did you say? Positive words? Did you have a relationship? Did you go out? Did you listen? Did you, all these other things. It doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come, especially if we didn't grow up with examples, and most of us haven't, unfortunately, of what good relationship is about. So that's what he's saying here. Ve'amar od. And now here the Ramchal will give another example of what we call the slippery slope of laziness. Laziness is like a chain reaction of one negative thing leads to another negative thing. And all you're doing is being lazy. Ve'od, and how do you explain it? He gave a beautiful story here. Mashika v'valed, and we see this every day. Al sadeh atze ish atzel avarti. Ve'al kerem adam chasar lev ine kulo. Adam chasar. So he says, every day I walk by a field. I see an empty field. That field, if you don't plant vineyard, what grows? Thorns. In other words, there is no such a thing of saying, what do you want from me? So I'm not growing, but I'm leaving it as it is. I'm standing in my place. I'm just not, actively doing good things, but I'm not doing bad. the bad happens on its own. If you leave a field, don't do anything. In other words, if you are not bringing out your full potential, if you're not going above nature, above your nature of laziness, thorns will grow. Negative things will come. There's no way to say, I'm just standing still. The world is turning. If you're standing still, you're moving backwards. So it's turning. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And that's what we're saying, is that you have to be it's like the stairs are going, you have to go against the stream. Like the salmon fish is I think the only fish that swims against the stream. But there's something about, that's the reality. You have to go against your desire, out of your comfort, and to actually make things happen. I saw this. I walked by the field and I saw this. Right? I walked by a few months. I saw first it was empty, and then I saw the thorns grow, and I said, "Wow, lakachti musar." I took to heart an important lesson, that there's no such a thing of standing in. There's no such a thing. I'm staying in the same place I'm at. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. That's the reality. So you have to be in movement. And by the way, it's in every field. If you're a musician, if you don't practice, you get worse. It's not that you just stay at the level you were at. It's constant. There's movement. It's either forward or backward. And languages and everything. As they say, use it or lose it. Right? I remember when I was a kid, I used to know by heart tens of numbers by heart. Now I don't know anybody's numbers by heart because I don't need to use it anymore. Okay, who cares? So I don't know. But I used to know so many phone numbers by heart. When I was a kid, we didn't have smartphones. Now people don't even know the numbers of their wife because it's in speed dial and that's it. What's her phone number? Who knows? Right? And it happens slowly. This is what happens on the field. And the rabbis taught about this. Right? The whole field now is thorns. He's looking for the perush. What is the understanding? If you want to learn Torah, you have to have zlizut. Right? So now this person was never learning. And now he wants to explain it. But mitoch shelo amal bahem, the person was not putting effort and work into it. Now, but he still gives answers. He still wants to give an answer. So you start throwing out things that have no meaning and no understanding. So the process of laziness doesn't happen at one moment. It happens slowly. Without even being aware, not feeling it. Suddenly, right? How did it start? It started, I just wanted I just wanted to make it a little easier. And then I didn't understand. And if that was, but then what happens is actually a person goes and starts to justify why it's good to be lazy and things like that. And this is it. We see, he says, we see, we see with our own eyes. Many, many times. You already know what you have to do. Your heart knows. It's clear to you. But why won't you do it? Not because you don't understand the importance, but only because of one reason. The laziness overcomes you. And it's something that you have to be aware of. And this is what we see. Person comes home and says, Ochal kima, I'll eat a little bit. Ishan kima, I'll rest a little bit. Kashel, it's hard for me to go out of my house. I already put on my pajamas. It's hot, it's cold. All these excuses. And all these excuses, what happens? Ben kach u ben kach, Torah munachat, avodah mevutelet. A person, Torah is gone, the service of Hashem is gone, and a person leaves his Creator. And that's what Shlomo Melech said. Be'atzaltaim yimach מקרה בשפלות ידיים ידלוף הבית. You have a house, and there's a little drop of like suddenly you see a little crack, a little small drop, but you leave it, and suddenly as time goes on, the whole ceiling caves in. And that is, that's the reality, is that the laziness, just trying to do things the fast way. And there's a famous story of this rabbi. They asked him, who ever proved you wrong? And he said, this one child. There was three children that proved me wrong. What was it? I asked the child, which way to the city? Which way do I go? Where's the city? And the child said, this is the short, long way, and this is the long, short way. So he didn't really focus. He said short, so he went this way. And there's thorns, and it was impossible to get there. He comes back, he says, why didn't you tell me that this is the wrong way to go? He says, you didn't listen. I said, this is the short, long way, and this is the long, short way. All of us are looking to take the short, long way. We think that if we take the short way, we'll get there. But the damage and what we have to do, the price we pay in the long run for trying to look for the quick path is a great, very, very big price that we pay. And that's what Ramchal is trying to tell us, that unfortunately, that these people, and this is what he says here, if you ask a lazy person, Ulam, im tishal et piatzel, yavo lecha ma'amarim rabim, this person will come and give you all these psukim, mikrot min haktuvim, tanot min hasechel, intellectual understandings. Why? It's a mitzvah to be lazy, right? Why? In other words, the most important weapon that we have, tool that we have, is our intellect. Here, a person's intellect is already captive of the Yetzer Hara. It's already telling you, proving you why you should be lazy. And this is very hard. Like we said, this is a very hard challenge to overcome, but we can overcome it, and we have to overcome it. And he says, really, it's all these proofs why you should be lazy. But he doesn't see. And us, we're talking ourselves, we don't see. These are not all of these theories that you have about why I should be lazy and why it's good to not be full of excitement and passion and actually making things happen. They're not coming because of your deep understanding, right? It's not coming because of your shikul dato. They're coming from the place of laziness that has overcome your intellect and it's enslaved. And that's what Shlomo Melech said. Chacham atzel be'enav meshiva metivetam. Right? Try to explain to someone today why you should learn Gemara or why you should read a book and not just type in the computer and you have whatever answer you want, or the summary of something. People think that they're already geniuses in any field because they read an article about science, so they're all scientists. They read an article about math, they're mathematicians, and they can't even understand. They look down at people. Well, you actually learn, and why would you read and do all this? Just learn from me. You just type it in and you have your answers. Thank God we have Shabbos. That a person that only can learn through his computer or through his phone. What do you do on Shabbos? So you have nothing. Suddenly you're an idiot. And by the way, my rabbi said an important thing, that learning from the phone instead of from the books is like you have the gvira and the shifcha. You have your wife, and then you have the maid servant, the servant, and it's making the servant the wife. In other words, you have to always hold on to the books. You have to always read from the books. It's so important. I mean, what we see from, by the way, this is the world when the print press was invented 500 years ago. The world went up intellectually, morally. There was so much of a deep understanding of thought, and people became civilized. And then when the telegram began, that was the beginning of the downfall of mankind. Of suddenly we have knowledge from the other side of the world that doesn't apply to us. It doesn't have any implication on us. It used to be you heard somebody died. It was your neighbor. You had to do something about it. Now you hear about things that are happening on this side of the world, and you have no meaning. No, you're not going to do anything about it. The downfall of mankind began with the telegram, and then going on with the TV, and we become very, how do you say, we passive. We sit there, we watch movies, they feed us whatever we want. We're like puppets, and it's a terrible thing. And like that's why I try to teach my kids. When I do watch a movie with my kids, I have a notebook, or right after I sit down, what were the messages, what was good, what wasn't good, to have a discussion about it, to learn, that you should be a critical thinker, that you should be aware of what are they feeding you, what is the message, what is the context, right? What is it I'm thinking? I'm not just passive, I'm active listening, active watching, right? This is very important. And like I said, this is the opposite of the natural state. I just want everyone to think for me, everyone to do it for me. And what does Chazal, what do the rabbis teach us? Adam la'amal yulad. A person was created for effort, for toil, that you should love the work, right? And therefore, and that's what happens. Vehine teda, I'm just telling you that the klal gadol umenuseh umenechet apishut. I can give you one very important trick that is already tested. Kol kula tzricha bdika. Every time you're looking to do something the easy way, check and see. It might be the right thing to do. You shouldn't always be looking for the hard way. I'm always looking for the hard way. No, we have no problem doing things the easy way. But check it out. It could be the right thing to do. In other words, by the way, it's a very important thing. When students ask my rabbi a question in halacha, if the answer is in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, go answer it yourself. They say it's like using the rabbi is like using a car versus walking. Anywhere you can walk by foot, walk. Anywhere that you can come up with the solution yourself, don't right away go, oh, tell me the answer. Okay, let me figure it out myself. It's a mindset of getting into the mindset of I want to work. I want to be active. I want to be utilizing my strengths and my ability. I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to be heavy. I want to be light. I want to be in movement. I want to be connected to my soul, right? Because you have to be careful when you're looking for the fast way. Just first check and see, is this coming from the Yetzer Hara, right? After you checked it out and you see it's good, no problem. So the bottom line is, klalosh davar, the bottom line is, tzarich chizuk gadol tzarich. We need a lot of strength. We have to overcome ourselves, right? And this is what we see. Angels have wings. They're we in the morning we pray. We talk about the angels because we want to tap into that place, the soul, the angel in us. Adam, yes, we are humans. Adam v'lo malach. We're not angels, and we can't become angels, vadai, but we could get close to it, right? Like someone said, it says in the Gemara, if your rabbi is not like an angel, you should not learn Torah by him. It says, Ki malach Hashemu. You have to. So someone asked my rabbi, "Are you an angel?" So he says, "If I say I'm an angel, so I'm full of pride. If I say I'm not, he's not going to learn from me. So what do? He said, I try my best. I'm not an angel, but I try my best. And trying your best to become like an angel, and that's what we see. King David, Chashti v'lo itma'amati lishmo mitzvotecha. I was full of passion and excitement to keep your mitzvahs. You need to overcome, and this is, I hope you understand the overview. This class is just to understand the problem, to understand the situation, The next classes we're going to talk about step to step, the details. What do we do now? What does that mean? How do I become? How do I become a person that is zaris, that is full of this excitement, this joy, this passion, this activeness? How do I get this? How do I go above my nature? That is what we will learn hopefully next class. Yes.
What movies do you approve of and watch with your kids?
I don't know if this is for the recordings, but